NEC. It's mentioned specifically in our source material, and it's not just another zonal council.
What's different about it?
Well, for one, its focus is really on security and public order. And that reflects the unique history of the Northeast with the border issues, insurgencies. It's a sensitive region.
Right. It's always had its own set of challenges. So the NEC, it's like a tailored approach to interstate relations for that specific region.
Exactly. And this is where we see how flexible Indian federalism can be. It can adapt to different regional needs while still upholding the core principles of unity and cooperation.
It's like finding that balance. National unity is important, but you can't ignore the fact that different regions might need different solutions.
You got it. And that's something that's really important, not just for those preparing for the UPSC, but for everyone who wants to understand how India actually functions. This stuff, it affects all of us.
It's true. From water disputes to trade to all these councils and committees, it all boils down to how well the states can work together.
And that cooperation, that's what makes Indian federalism actually work. Recognizing that we're stronger together, that a strong central government needs strong states, and that this whole unity and diversity thing, it's not just a slogan, it's the heart of India.
Love that. So we've talked about water, we've talked about trade, we've talked about all this collaboration, but there's one big thing we haven't touched on yet.
Uh-oh, what's that?
Money.
Ah, yes, the financial side of things.
Because, states need resources. They need money to do all this stuff we've been talking about. So how does that work in India's federal system?
Great question. That's where the Finance Commission comes in.
Finance Commission. Remind me what that is again.
It's a constitutional body set up under Article 280. And its job is to recommend how the national revenue, the money, gets divided between the central government and all those states.
Oh, right. So it's like they're the ones deciding who gets what piece of the pie.
Exactly. And they have to consider all sorts of things. Population, per capita income, the financial situation of each state. It's a really complicated calculation.
Yeah, I bet. So a state with a larger population or one that's facing more economic hardship, they'd probably get a bigger slice.
Makes sense, right. And this is where it gets really interesting. Because the Finance Commission's decisions have a huge impact, not just on the states themselves, but on how well this whole federal system actually works.
Okay, yeah, lay it on me.
Yeah.
What's so interesting about the Finance Commission?
Well, think about it. You're on this commission. You've got to figure out how to split all that money between the central government and 28 states, right?
Yeah.
Each state has different needs, different priorities.
Yeah, it's this giant balancing act, right?
Totally. And there's no easy answer. It's not like some simple math equation. They have these guidelines from the Constitution, sure, but they also have to be flexible. The economy changes, things happen, they got to adapt.
So it's not just about crunching numbers. They got to be in tune with what's going on in the country.
Exactly. And their decisions, they have ripple effects. Like, let's say they decide, okay, this state needs more funding for infrastructure. Well, that can lead to more jobs, better transportation, all these things that can boost the economy, not just for that one state, but for the whole region.
Wow. So it's not just about numbers on a spreadsheet. It's about real world stuff.
Right. And this is important for our listeners who are, getting ready for the UPSC, because imagine you're in that interview and they ask you, what are the biggest challenges the Finance Commission faces? You got to be able to talk about this stuff, the nuances, not just what's in the textbooks.
That's a great point. It's one thing to memorize facts. It's another to actually understand the dynamics, the why behind it all.
Exactly. And that's what we've been trying to do in this deep dive. Show that interstate relations, it's not just some boring topic from a textbook. It's a living, breathing part of how India works.
It's true. We started with something that sounded kind of dry, but now I'm seeing all these connections. Water disputes, trade, finances, it all comes back to how well the states can work together.
And that cooperation, that's what makes this whole federal system tick. It's about recognizing that we're all part of the same team, A strong center needs strong states. And that whole unity and diversity thing, it's not just a slogan. It's how India actually functions.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought. We've covered a lot. The Constitution, the councils, the disputes, the money. But there's something even more fundamental that makes this whole system work.
What's that?
The will to cooperate. It's that simple, but it's also that profound. You got to have that understanding that working together isn't just like a nice option. It's absolutely necessary, especially in a country as diverse as India.
Perfectly said. It's a good reminder, right? The laws, the institutions, they provide the framework, sure. But it's that spirit of cooperation, the willingness to compromise, that shared goal, That's what'll really determine how India moves forward.
Absolutely. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap things up. We've covered a ton today, but it's really just the tip of the iceberg. Keep exploring, keep asking questions, keep diving deep.
That has been great, as always. Until next time.